Welcome back to another prediction show. Myself and Mr. Liam Tully here for this one. This should be a fun fight. You got Stephen McKenna coming in after his absolute war with Joe Laws last time out in Barnsley. That was a phenomenal fight. Both men tasting the canvas. McKenna, of course, coming out on top, coming into it 15-0, 14 wins by knockout. He can certainly bang. All right, can Stephen McKenna. But Lee Cutler, his opponent, definitely hasn't looked phased. He's coming in at 14-1, 7 wins by knockout. His sole defeat, caught cold really by Bradley Stingray at the time. It was 3 years ago. Now he's rebuilt since then with about 7 or 8 wins in a row at a certain level, though, if we're being completely honest. I believe he may be attached to the McGuigan gym, Lee Cutler. From what I saw earlier, or he was at least at some point. And he's obviously out of Bournemouth as well, same place as Chris Billam-Smith, so maybe they're friends. I don't know. I'm just reading into that. But WBC International Silver Super Welterweight Championship on the line for this one, Liam, for what that's worth. English champion as well. Lee Cutler winning that in his last fight. So McKenna, for me, might have his hands full a little bit with this one. I think it's going to be a good fight. We've seen the build-up, yesterday's press conference. No doubt the weigh-in's going to be full of shenanigans as well. And on a weekend where there's not too much edge on the fight, shall we say, there's plenty of fights on, but there's not too much edge. It's quite welcome to actually see these two going at it a little bit, isn't it?
Look, it's not only a show stealer for Boxer and Liverpool, it's a weekend stealer potentially as well, because there was Niesel at their press conference yesterday. If the running order I've seen floating around has this as co-main above Lauren Price, I mean, one, I'd be shocked if that happens, but it looks like this may go as co-main event, which would surprise me. Look, Stephen McKenna is a great prospect, a very fun fighter, but hopefully he's sort of got the reckless abundance out of him in the Joe Laws fight, because it's one thing doing it against the type of fighter like Joe Laws, who has now said he's going to move to Misfits for 2025. It's another thing doing it against Lee Cutler. Lee Cutler is a much more disciplined, cultured boxer who can make this a boring fight and look to box his way to attempt to box his way to a points victory if he wants. McKenna, look, it's his second outing of the year. He's slowly starting to be stepped up. This is against the former English champion. It's got a silver WBC ranking trinket attached to it. You'd like to think McKenna's going to move towards Commonwealth honours, etc. next year. Saying it's a good piece of matchmaking is true if you look at the records, but then go a bit deeper. Cutler's not fought in over a year because he's been injured. The cynic in me says that if Lee Cutler had just come off of winning the English title, they possibly wouldn't have taken this fight straight away. It's the fact that he's had a bit of a layoff. His record looks impressive, but in reality, he shouldn't pose too much of a threat to McKenna. It's there to be set up, isn't it, as another showcase for him. He may be taking rounds, which is what you want to see. We may get an answer to the question, how does his power translate in the second half of a fight? But in reality, that's where we're at. We're not looking at Lee Cutler saying he's a world beater.
I agree with you. Look, at the end of the day, when Cutler took the step up against Bradley Ray, he was knocked out in a round. It's a good edge on it. Is the matchup massively competitive on paper for me? No, I would have to say not. Bradley Ray, fair enough, he's only lost to Tyler Denny in his career. He's a decent fighter, definitely. But yeah, for me, look, Stephen McKenna, let's see him in some real good fights in 2025. He's got the backing. He's got the knockouts on his record. We just need to see him in some real good fights at super welterweight now in 2025. And there's so many fights out there. Domestically, I'm even talking at this point. I know he's obviously Irish, but I'm talking about the British scene at 154 is absolutely incredible, and even the world scene is as well. Look, he's 27, I think, so he's not in a mad rush, but you want to be peaking and stepping up the levels for sure. So yeah, look, I'm going to go for a standout performance for McKenna tomorrow night. I think it's a good stage for him. I think he's catching a few headlines, especially after the Joe Laws fight. He's got momentum. I think he's going to want to go out and continue that. I'm gonna lean with him running through Lee Cutler. I really am. I'm going to go with a fourth round knockout. I think he's going to just run through him, hot knife through butter job. And yeah, just use his size. He looks a lot bigger than Cutler, you know, even looking at the face off and stuff like that. So yeah, for me, Stephen McKenna gets it done in spectacular fashion.
Yeah, you have kind of stolen my thunder in terms of what I want to say. I think this is where McKenna looks to make a statement, and he should make a statement. Lee Cutler is of a certain level, but that certain level coupled with a layoff should pay into McKenna's hands. Yeah. As long as he's learnt the lessons from the Joe Laws fight and doesn't go out there looking for a shootout from the first bell, he'll get the stoppage early, I believe, but he doesn't need to be trying to set it up from minute one of the fight. So Stephen McKenna's stoppage inside 6 rounds for me. Lee Cutler has the potential to make this a difficult night, but I just don't think McKenna's going to allow him to.
Yeah, that's exactly where I'm at. Look, he's more active, he's more switched on, he hits harder. You know, every advantage that you would want in a fight is leaning towards Stephen McKenna. So look, it could be a firefight. You know, maybe Cutler will ask him questions, but yeah, look, me and Liam, we're both on Stephen McKenna. We both think he gets it done in good fashion. One more fight to make predictions for this weekend. We're going to go with Alexis Rocha versus Raul Curiel. It's the main event on the Golden Boy card in California.